Hey, hi, hello guys, my name is Mia Marie, and you are currently watching my Synastry Compatibility series where I go through all the 12 signs, sun signs, and how they get along. Now, as a general disclaimer, we reference so much more than just the sun sign for compatibility, but the importance of the sun and understanding someone's sun sign and accepting it and supporting it is that the sun sign describes the motives, the behaviors, the experiences that contribute to someone's sense of sanity. So we're not talking so much about what someone needs emotionally or how they flirt or what makes them great in bed, all of those very, romantic topics. We're talking about how to support someone's vitality, someone's sense of self, and someone's healing human journey. So keep in mind that this is just a gentle introduction, and you can get so much more by booking a session with me or another fantastic astrologer. Sun in Aries, someone who is born with their sun sign in Aries is here to establish a sense of self. Their entire life, their whole healing journey will be about them uncovering and establishing who they are. And they'll do this over and over again by putting themselves in situations where they must exercise courage. Their ultimate motive is to transform their desires into will. I really want this job. I really want this partner. I really want to move here. I really want to start this business, and then doing it, but keeping their higher self in mind. So because Aries is step one, it seems kind of strange, but it's the child of the zodiac, but at the same time, there are strong correlations with leadership. So you'll find, because in order to establish a sense of self, you have to learn how to lead a life. And that's what Aries is going to be doing the whole time. And so there is a quality with leadership of them being bossy. And this is interpreted in two different ways. If you're someone who's being bossed around, you're like, dude, let me make my own choices. You're being a little too domineering. You're not listening to my ideas. I feel like I'm just a pawn on your chessboard. But when an Aries is bossing you around, it's because they either care about you, they care about what you're doing and what the outcome is, or they care about both. And what you have to understand is that the way that they are talking to you is the way that they're talking to themselves. And so for them to give you directives, or even to talk to you no, this is what it is, that's their way of loving, is by leading. And it's hard for them to differentiate. Another thing that you'll notice when you're dating an Aries is that when you're sharing stories about your day or something that you've overcome or something that you're excited about, a challenge point, they're going to bring it back to themselves. And it seems selfish, right? You're sitting here trying to decompress. You want that camaraderie, you want that partnership, and they just kind of steal the mic and start talking about who they are and their experiences. And again, it's because as they're looking at you, it's almost like a mirroring effect. As they're looking at you, they're having a better understanding of who they are, what your place is in the world, but also what their place is in the world. And so, and the same thing is if you continue to talk about yourself for extended periods of time, they have the greatest tolerance for it because they do the same thing. So it's not so much that they don't care about you. The motive is what drives people, and it's the sun sign. So what's driving this person constantly is to figure out who they are in multiple different situations. Being a fire sign means that they like being activated and energized and inspirational and motivating. And with the fire being expressed through Aries, all of that energy goes towards the self. It does. It goes towards the self. And so if you are dating an Aries and they are not motivating you, they're not pushing you to accomplish your goals, they're not trying to take leadership in your relationship, then something is off. If they're wanting to stay on the couch all day, if they're not exercising, if they are feeling low, fatigued, then something is happening in their emotional body that's preventing them from keeping their pilot light lit. A lot of the times, these are people who Aries are extreme, so the pilot light is just out. Another thing is they don't like a plan. I'm speaking specifically just about Aries sun. If they have different placements, like a moon in Capricorn or a Venus in Capricorn, they're going to love a plan. But if we're just talking specifically about what this person's ego needs as it's developing in lockstep with the soul, this is somebody who needs to not plan. Why? Because they're trying to build courage. They have to put themselves in new situations where they don't have any tools. They just have themselves, their mind, and their gut. And it's by consciously meeting each one of these challenges and overcoming them and maybe getting knocked down and getting back up, they're learning that they can trust in themselves, that they're capable, that they can function independently. And they learn who they are through those trials and tribulations, which is why they don't need a plan. Oh, and another thing is they feel very comfortable if you are completely yourself. They don't want you to be polite. They don't want you to be proper. I mean, again, if you have like those Capricorn placements or something that's a little bit more earthy, then they will prioritize those things, but solely the sun, they feel comfortable when you're cursing or when you're loud or when you're showing them expressions, because it gives them permission to be themselves totally. They can relax. And not only that, they can accept you as you are, and you can accept them as they are. Aries is ruled by Mars, and so it's competitive. Now, this is where in love, they kind of get a bad rep, because yet again, there is this energy that's trying to manifest itself in real life, and it's kind of showing up in the wrong way. We're talking about love, right? Aries is ruled by Mars, and so it's competitive by nature. Its way of flirting, its way of playing, its way of connecting with you truly is wanting to play sports, wanting to beat you at those sports. Kind of like anything you can do, I can do better type attitude. That's how they show love. And the best way that I can use an example is like soldiers at war. They sit and they taunt and make fun of each other relentlessly. They throw out the jokes, but they will out in the world die for you. They will show up for you in every which way that they can. Now, some deal breakers for Aries. Anyone who encroaches on their autonomy. The opposite of Aries is Libra. Libra is all about partnership and companionship. So you can see how in love, we're working from a deficit, right? Aries is not programmed inherently for partnership because it doesn't even really know who it is yet. But anyone who's like, oh, we like this, Aries will be very quick to tell you, like, that's a you thing. This is you. This is me. And it's not because they don't like you and they want to separate from you. It's because they don't want to become one. They want to understand the difference. That's what their whole life goal is about, is understanding the difference between them and reality. And so if you are wanting to be their companion, or if you want to constantly run errands with them or do things with them, it's going to repulse them. They don't need a sidekick. They mob alone. Another deal breaker for Aries is not prioritizing them. Now that sounds kind of strange given everything that I just said, but an Aries can tell when you're not number one, when they're not number one, right? It's that competitive nature. If they feel like you are prioritizing someone else, they're pretty accepting of like work and outside accomplishments, but if you're prioritizing someone over them, done. And they're also a little flickery with their flame. So sometimes the relationship is really hot and heavy, and it's important that they keep that fire lit, but you can find an inconsistency in their energy depending on how they're feeling internally and what you're giving them. If you are not making them feel as if they are important, that flame can come off real quick. Sun in Aries is also unapologetically itself unless it's being shamed over and over again for the way that they're trying to get their motives met or their needs met. And the best example that I'll use is like a toddler in a grocery store. Toddlers don't want to be at a grocery store. They don't see the need for it, right? We see the need, but they don't see the need. And so what do? They throw a tantrum. They don't care who sees. They don't care what people think about them. All they can think is, I don't like this. I would rather be somewhere else. And I'm going to make it very clear to the person who I'm involved with. And so you will find yourself managing tantrums with Aries from time to time. Sun in Aries is bold, courageous, independent, vivacious, feisty. They have the zest for life that is unquenchable unless something is seriously wrong. And they're also a spiritual warrior of types. And so you can expect that if you have an Aries on your team, that they are going to protect you, that they're going to make sure that you're leading a life that you're proud of, that they're proud of. They have your back to the fullest extent. Someone with their sun in Capricorn has a soul that came to Earth to learn that when you work productively, you learn patience, persistence, and perseverance. Now, something that not a lot of astrologers talk about, which I find completely baffling, is that Neptune was in Capricorn from 1984 until 1998. And this is a huge influence because yes, Capricorns are hard workers, and they typically, stereotypically, archetypally know who they are and what they want to do. With Neptune here, you can actually get a character that has no idea who they are. It's almost as if they are Piscean, Capricornian characters. You're dealing with a Capricorn who was born in that time. You might notice that they have a hard time establishing an ego or seeing themselves clearly. There is this, it's almost as if when you take a shower and the mirror is fogged and you try to look at yourself, you can't see yourself. That is the Capricorn with Neptune on the sun. So back to Capricorn energy. Capricorn is the third earth sign. It is the most mature. It takes the security and the competence from Taurus. It takes the systems that Virgo has created, and it goes, okay, how do we turn this into a company? How do we sell this? How do we market this? How do we create revenue? How do we provide for the masses? It's a universally oriented sign. These are typically like the bosses because they are focused on order of operations. They like things done in a specific way. They keep a list of things to do and they like to check those things off. They get off to being productive. Capricorn is naturally ruled by the planet Saturn, and that's the planet with the ring around it, which is perfect because Capricorn, Saturn energy, it's all about restriction, constriction, knowing boundaries, exercising boundaries, bending to authority, really wanting a position that gives you authority and power. And so oftentimes what you'll find with these people is it's hard for them to play and have fun, to experience joy, because if you're playing around all day, you're not going to be as productive, right? It goes against their motive to be persistent and patient and to persevere against all odds. It's thinking the long haul. What are the decisions that I can make every single day that will turn my life into a legacy? What is my great work? And that is something that will stick with Capricorn their whole lives. Now, something they may not realize is that some of their greatest work is going to be internal. It's going to be something that nobody else sees. They are in so many ways proving themselves to themselves, similar to Taurus, but on a greater scale. The stakes are so much higher. They're in the public eye. And along with that, they care a lot about how other people view them. They want to come off as professional and polished. They like their clothes like ironed. They like neutrals, or they just like to give the look like they are all about their business. And if they don't, you can tell depression has many correlations with Saturn energy or Capricorn energy. And so that's their default. And when they're depressed, it's their body trying to scream at them like, this isn't working. This ego that you are working to accomplish. And as a preface, or for clarification, I don't demonize the ego. I think that everyone has one and it must serve a purpose, and the ego is trainable. That's the beauty. You can always train your ego to be in service to your soul. So I'm not slamming egos. Depression is always a call from the soul, and it's saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to live this life anymore. I'm tapping out. And when you have that perspective, when you have that awareness, then you're able to adjust your schedule. And it will be something that you have to manage on the outside. And then as you do it, as you start moving your body through the adjustment in your schedule, you'll start to reconnect with yourself, or Capricorn will start to reconnect with themselves. It will also manifest by their habits and their behaviors. When they're not working, they'll work until they're exhausted, and then they'll come home and they'll want to drink or they'll want to smoke. They just want out. Okay, so Capricorns in relationships specifically, it is a duty. It is something that is similar to a job. They want to show up, and they want to show up every day, and they expect that you're going to show up every day. And more than that, they will exercise their own restrictions and expectations onto you. They want you to get on board with their schedule. They are a leadership sign. They're a cardinal sign. And so you will find that they really take you under their wing, and they want you guys to excel together. In my personal experience, I found that Capricorn does appreciate partnership, but it doesn't do the flings. It wants marriage. It wants kids. It wants the earthly representations of accomplishment. They are reliable. They are consistent. They are on top of it. They're on top of what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you should be doing. And they have an eye for things that are flawed, and they'll point it out to you. They can kind of have a more serious or stoic attitude towards life, And it is very matter of fact when you're with them. They have this dry quality to their personality that people can find endearing. Now, some deal breakers with Capricorn. If you are not thinking long term, if you don't want a serious relationship, if you don't want to be married or have children or buy a house or grow old together, that is a Capricorn thing, then they will dismiss you quite quickly. They don't want to entertain games, and they don't appreciate when you try and toy with them because they will show up for you. They take life seriously and they take themselves seriously, which means they also take you seriously, and they expect you to act as a mature, grown, and responsible adult at all times. Now, if you're someone who's a little bit more spontaneous, like for example, in my personal experience with Capricorn, I like to do things on a whim. I can't stand a plan. I like just putting myself out there and having a fun time, watching where life takes me. If you have that type of an attitude, they are going to contract. They may get on board depending on their other placements, but there's something inside of them that gets nervous, and they kind of like do this, they don't like it, and they might judge you, and they may call you impulsive. They don't appreciate impulsivity. They don't appreciate things that are done on a whim because it's not well thought out. You're not thinking of the consequences of your actions. What if you get lost? What if you run out of money? What if blah, 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 blah. They're going to name all the cautionary things that you didn't think about as you're trying to bungee jump off of a cliff. Piggybacking on that, they are risk averse. They don't like putting themselves in situations where they may fail, because what does that show about them? What does that prove about them? That means that they aren't this authoritarian character or authoritative character, depending on whichever one they subscribe to, high functioning, low functioning. They don't like to look stupid. They like to come off as someone who can manage the masses. And so they will avoid situations where there's a greater probability that they will fall on their face, or they have a hard time surrendering to the unknown. And they will criticize you for putting yourself in that situation until they see that you have been successful. So if you're someone who enjoys challenge, risk, and thrills, expect to have like a sit-down conversation where it's like, they're the principal and you're the student, and they're like, listen to me. This is the rules. This is what we do. Another thing they won't appreciate is if you don't take your life seriously. If you are not accomplishing things on a daily basis, or if you have nothing to prove for your day or your energy or your effort, they like to show their person off. They like to feel as if they have also won a prize. They are a prize, and so is their person. They like the power couple idea. And so if you are a little bit, if you're not as ambitious, or if your ambitions don't yield material, again, representations of success and accomplishment, they're not going to gravitate towards you. But all in all, they're about their business. And if you are with them, then you are their business. So they're focused on the long term. They want commitment. They will show up for you. They will want to provide for you. They will want to make you feel like your relationship is stable and your home space is stable, and you guys can do whatever you like because you have the funds in the bank. Sun in Aries, Sun in Capricorn. Whew. This is a handful. Let's start at the basics. We have a fire sign, the baby of the zodiac, Aries, and we have Capricorn, an earth sign, fire and air, literal opposites. Now, these two have to make an effort to not burn the other one out, which means that when they are shining in their fullest expression, it kind of bothers the other person. Aries is a personally oriented sign, and so it's focused on success for itself. It has the sole mission of establishing who it is, reintroducing itself to the world. It follows the line of thought that this person has lived a full life through all signs and now is being reborn again as a fresh soul. And so that is actually Aries' greatest accomplishment, is understanding who it is, establishing who it is. And Capricorn is also focused on achievements, but it's focused on shining brightly in the eyes of many people. It wants to be the principal. It wants to be in charge. It wants to create structures that everybody lives by. So Aries is establishing rules for itself. Capricorn is establishing rules for life. And so what can happen here is we have two very strong personalities. These are two people who are leaders. Aries is leading a life. Capricorn is trying to lead a country or a company or lead just a group of people, even like on game night. It's something to watch. But they have very strong opinions about what they would like to do with their time, how they're going to spend their energy, and they both have very focused outcome. They're working towards a focused outcome. And so what can happen is this becomes a dick measuring contest of who can do it more quickly, whose outcome is better, and it can become quite competitive. I find this to be true specifically with Capricorn and all fire signs, but specifically Capricorn and other cardinal signs because we're at a square aspect. And so, you know, these two, I mean, the high expression is that they're a power couple. They're about their business. They respect that they have different goals and different aspirations, and they come together and they share the wealth. They share the positivity. They can brainstorm together because they're both solutions oriented if there's nothing else affecting them. As I've said in the beginning, there is a time period when Neptune was in Capricorn, and you will find Capricorn characters seemingly debilitated as it relates to their ability to understand who they are. They almost come off more Piscean. So if you feel like you are dating somebody who is a little bit more abstract than a normal Capricorn, go to the beginning of this video, Sun in Capricorn. So these two could be a power couple. But they do need to accept that what the other person is working at has nothing to do or little to do with them. Aries doesn't really have a regard for order and authority. I mean, it will listen to it, but it doesn't have like a deep respect in the same way that Capricorn does. Aries is a thrill seeker. I mean, let's think about a child, right? Throwing a tantrum in a store. It doesn't care who's judging it. It doesn't care how it looks. It doesn't care if its hair is a mess and there's food on its face. It just exists. And that's where it's at. And Capricorn is like, whoa, total character control, wanting to be professional, wanting to be the leader, you know, wanting to be seen as the wise person. And so we have people who have two completely different leadership styles. One is more messy and scrappy and startup-y, and the other one is established, you know, legendary, great work of one's life. And so Capricorn can often judge Aries' impulsivity. Aries wants to make decisions in the moment. It doesn't really want to plan. And the reason why it does that is because it's learning how to trust in itself. It likes to put itself in challenging situations where it's going to fall, but it's going to learn how to get up. That is the beauty of Aries energy, is it always learns how to get back up. And Capricorn is like, that is not smart. It's embarrassing, actually. You're not only embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing me, and I need you to step more sure-footedly. That is not going to bode well with a fire sign. And in fact, I don't even think that Aries will be open to letting that sink in. They'll just explode and further assert their mission. And so if you're not conscious about the kind of language that you're using with each other, it can create a war. And it will very quickly, you know, not become a place where you want to be. So I'm not saying that this combination won't last the test of time, but I am saying that you just have to respect what the other person is doing. Capricorn is all about professionalism, not so much with Aries, although Aries takes their job very seriously. And what I often find is that Aries becomes a leader by taking really good care of itself, by chasing its, you know, intuitive hits, by doing things that it likes, and by existing as a source of light. It inspires other people, and that's how Aries comes into a leadership position. People gravitate towards them. The sun is exalted in Aries, and so that is how Aries becomes a leader, almost on accident, whereas Capricorn wants to be in charge and takes measured, concrete steps to get there. They are working to become a leader. And oftentimes it's because they're providing a service or a product, or they're working with a particular system, but they're selling something and they are in charge of the transaction. And so, you know, that's another way that they are very different. Aries gets its gratification by being itself, and Capricorn gets its gratification by understanding people, understanding markets, understanding, I almost said ecosystems, understanding the economy. And so these two don't really have a lot in common, but when they put their energies together, it can be a very powerful combination. And the reason why I say this is I've worked with clients before, and I actually know somebody who has Aries and Capricorn in their chart, and my mother, and Sun in Aries, Moon in Capricorn, and she is all about her business. And what I find, the way that she makes it work is she doesn't try to compromise the energy. It's not like, if she's in her Aries, she's totally in her Aries, and she only grabs the Capricorn qualities that she needs. Like, okay, I'm going to do this big thing, but I do need to, create some kind of order. And so she marries the energies together versus putting them on a hierarchical structure, which Capricorn may run the risk of doing. Like, well, I'm thinking about everybody, and I'm older and I'm more established, and this is what we're doing. You guys are on the same playing field. And so with this energy, you want to work towards you want to integrate your guys' strengths together. And sometimes what that looks like is you completely surrendering, not agreeing with what the other person is saying. I think that idea is boring, right? If Capricorn proposes that they do something, I don't know, they start a savings account for the long run and they're taking 10% out of every, check and putting it into a collective savings account, Aries will be like, well, that's boring. I want to spend my money. But if they listen to Capricorn, then they have created a gift that they would have not had for themselves. And if Capricorn were to listen to Aries' bids for adventure and opportunities to exercise courage, Capricorn's fear-based mentality, this limited, restrictive mindset, the frequency with which Capricorn says no or finds problems will lower. Aries can help Capricorn live an adventurous life. And, I think that these two, if they were to not try and focus so much on who's better, who's smarter, who's more successful, who has the better idea, and they just drop into the other person's energy and feel uncomfortable for a little bit, it's fantastic. But for the long term, it will require ongoing work and energy. And again, that doesn't mean that this person isn't for you. It just means that, you're working with materials that are, they're not exactly complementary. So that's what I have for you, Aries and Capricorn. If you would like to learn more, because this is literally one configuration, every relationship chart has over 2,000. So we're just skimming the surface here. If you would like to find out more about your birth chart or your relationship chart, you can find me at wellandrising.com/services. Toodles.